Alright, I'm here for my second Kishu Ken video. Today I'm going to answer the question on grooming requirements for the Kishu. I've been asked, do they shed? What's grooming like? How often do they need to be brushed? And hopefully this video will go over all of those questions. My experience is that Kishu Ken have a pretty low maintenance coat. It's pretty coarse. It's clean for the most part. Even when they get completely disgusting, rolling in mud or whatever else they find in the woods, by the time we get back down to the Jeep and everybody's dry, everybody's also clean. So that's pretty. I like that about them. They don't shed too much throughout the year. And I don't really brush my dogs every day, normally. But there are exceptions to that rule. February and into March now is shedding season for all of my dogs. They will completely blow their coats. They'll go from being a double-coated, very luxuriously coated dog to looking a little bit, we're going to bother Nami. Like Nami here. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm not that sorry. So they go from having a pretty thick coat to being almost single coated and very short in a very small amount of time. So they do shed quite a lot. You don't really need to brush them during that time unless it's really for your own good. I do. I will brush my dogs, and then I'll also bathe them if it calls for it, depending on how heavy their shed is. Are you enjoying yourself? So it really depends on the owner. It depends on, I think, your dog to a degree, but they're pretty efficient at dumping their own coat. Outside of those times, it's great. But that's like a month to 2 months of just constant shedding. One thing I noticed about Nami, rather than Fiona, is that Nami will actually shed all of her guard hair too. So during the summer, she ends up really sleek, barely any coat, and not a lot of fringe to her. Whereas Fiona will dump her undercoat, but she doesn't look nearly as naked as Nami does. My youngest puppy, Cucullin, is just dumping his coat for really the first time, and that's always the worst. So around a year old, or their first significant shed, they really seem to lose it. Oh, Nami. So here, it's just from petting Nami. Yeah, that's from you. That's yours. So this is the worst time when it comes to grooming and coat maintenance. Other than that, they're really really clean dogs that don't need a whole lot of intervention when it comes to grooming, beside what you want to give them. For grooming tools, I like to use a shedding blade, which I usually keep around here somewhere. It's just like almost looks like a handsaw, but it's for cutting out some of the loose coat. I don't use a Furminator because I've had some pretty bad experiences with the Furminator, with my Malamute actually cutting the guard hair when you use it a little too much or too harshly. The shedding blade will do similar things, but I didn't find that it was as easy to actually shave the guard hair off. So that's why I use the shedding blade versus the Furminator. If you have a really thick coated Kishu, you might have some luck with an undercoat rake, to just actually yank out the undercoat when it's shedding. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot of luck. I'll use like the rubber brushes from Kong, like those Groom Zooms. I'm sure there's other companies that make them. just like a shorter rubber brush, honestly, is probably the best one. And I'll use that when I'm bathing my dogs too. So I think that's really all I have to say about grooming. Nails are kind of a different ball game. I know some people really struggle with nails on their dogs. I don't really. Fiona, I've been doing her nails since she was born, basically, since she had nails. I got her, I was starting to manipulate her toes and her feet so that she was used to having them messed with. Nami used to give me a little bit of a fight when it came to nails. We just use a regular nail clipper, but enough like tossing her treats while I was tripping her nails was enough for her. And Cucullin's never had a problem with it. So I guess that's something that I'll go over during my puppy videos, is how I just got Fiona used to having her nails messed with. I think that's really it, because they don't really need anything as far as their ears go. Some of them will build up like waxy residue in there, but I've only ever had a problem once when Cucullin had an ear infection when he was much younger. Yeah, so that's it.